If you are ready to transform your backyard into a haven of relaxation and luxury, look no further than our amazing podcast sponsor, L'Acqua Azzurra Pool Services. With over 20 years of industry experience, L'Acqua Azzurra is a name you can trust when it comes to services, equipment repairs, and restoration for all things pools. If you're looking in the South Florida area for your pool to be serviced on a month-to-month basis, L'Acqua Azzurra boasts an impressive 5-star rating on Google reviews, and it's a testament to their dedication to the customer satisfaction and top-notch service. Also, if you mention Messi & Co., you will get your first month of pool service absolutely free. So don't wait. For pool service, patio renovation, or more, call them now at 954-793-7206 and get a free quote for any project. Thanks, L'Acqua Azzurra.
Okay, hello and welcome to another awesome episode of Messi & Co. I am Ashley and I'm here with my great co-host Gian, and we are going to be talking all things Inter Miami, our preview versus FC Cincinnati, which is going to be taking place tomorrow night at Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Lots to discuss, lots of big storylines, lots of what ifs happening with the club, with the playoff position. But just to start, since we last spoke on that beautiful Wednesday post game, how are you doing, Gian?
I'm doing a lot better. I will say I cooled down. I definitely was at a tough place, but no, much better. And I think that there's been some news that will probably be good news for Inter Miami fans as we move forward and look into next game. So I'm doing good. It's nice to be here.
Good, awesome. Yeah, let's start there because the big question on everyone's mind, I would say for legitimately the first time since the Toronto game, is Lionel Messi going to be playing tomorrow? Is he going to start? Is he coming off the bench? Is he back from injury? Lots of questions, lots of unknowns. We saw today that both Lionel Messi and the club posted photos and basically previewing his involvement in the match tomorrow. So all the signs are pointing toward his participation. How much he's going to play, we don't know, but it's certainly, we're happy about that, right? Like if he's healthy and
definitely.
He's able to contribute, even if we don't know exactly, maybe it could be a little too late in terms of the MLS playoff push, but still having him on the field representing Inter Miami is what we all want and what is, the future of this club. So what are your thoughts? Do you think he's going to start? Do you think he's going to come off the bench? Do you think he's going to play?
I just think it's good news that he actually hit the field with the rest of the team,
right,
and took and participated in the heavier type of drills, the more involved type of team drills, and participated in things that were more extenuating physically than I think that he was prior to this last practice, because we saw that he was coming out sometimes for a few minutes right out, or at the tail end of the media session. Apparently he was training on his own. He wasn't really involved in anything that kind of would need him to exert himself in any way. So I think that's a really good sign, just to see him practicing normally now with his teammates. I think that's going to be a big deal for the team, also from a confidence perspective and a morale perspective. That's definitely going to be a morale booster for the team to have Messi training in much better form with them. So I think that leads me to believe that he probably starts, especially I think he starts also because the plan is probably to have him play in Argentina. I think he wants to play for Argentina. And I don't think, especially after all this time of not logging time on the field, to just go in without having any meaningful play for Inter Miami, to just step onto an international stage and play for a World Cup qualifiers in South America. And as we all know, World Cup qualifiers are really tough and very physical. So I don't think that he wants to put himself through that. So he needs, training will only, I think, condition him so much. He needs gameplay, real gameplay for the club. So I think that that's one of the reasons why we'll see him. Not to mention, while it no longer really depends solely on us as far as the playoff push is concerned, it really does depend on what other teams do as well, I think that there's still a chance. And I think that that's why he also wants to participate, to give kind of the team hopes with hopefully winning against Cincinnati. Not that it's going to be any easy feat, but if he does win and then he leaves and doesn't play next game, at least he's still leaving them in a position where hopefully they can continue on and hopefully win the next match, which I believe is against after Cincinnati against Charlotte. So
Charlotte, yeah.
So I definitely think that we will see him play. If he doesn't play from the beginning, then hopefully he gets maybe 30 minutes in the second half. But I think it's really important that he does see some time before he goes to Argentina. And that's going to be pivotal in making sure that he doesn't re-injure himself and that he's in good physical shape to endure. I don't know if it's going to be 1 or 2 games with Argentina. We'll see.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he will be playing tomorrow, barring any significant changes. In terms of starting or not starting, we know he doesn't normally like to play unless he's going to start and play. That's kind of his style. And so I could see him starting. And I think, just from the boost for the club, I can see him starting. But, if they're trying to be more cautious than they had been in the past with the, incident with Toronto, maybe he comes off the bench. But yeah, he definitely will play tomorrow as far as I'm concerned. But, before we go sort of into the actual game preview and talking about the lineups and our opposition, it's been an interesting, as we know, week and a half for Inter Miami with some lows. We won't lie. We've experienced a lot of ups, but there's been a couple downs this past week. And another wrench in the plot is that we found out today from various reports that La Familia, the supporter section at Inter Miami games, loyal fan base who have been supporting the team since the inception and the first games in 2020, was going to protest tomorrow's game, and they were going to not show up, and they were going to leave an empty supporter section to protest what we all know now as, a pretty significant spike in ticket prices for next season. And obviously it coincides poorly with the fact that Messi hasn't been able to play and that overall the team has just not been performing at a high level. You've seen a decline. We've seen a lot of unknowns with the team. Put that together with the huge increase in ticket prices, there's been some unrest. And they were going to not go to tomorrow's game and to protest, and the club caught wind of it, and they've set up a meeting. I don't know the details of it, and I don't know when it's going to happen, what it's specifically about, if it's even possible to change the ticket prices, because people have started, paying them, have renewed their season tickets. So I don't know how that would work or, what the demands are. But La Familia will be attending the game tomorrow. However, expect maybe a little bit more of a subdued atmosphere, maybe not as much of the songs and the instruments and things like that, to kind of show, we have Messi, and you've provided us supporters with so many great things this season. We can see the future is bright, but don't take advantage of us. And, we've seen it with big clubs and their supporters, their ultras all over the world, show time and time again that no one player or one kind of selfish act, not by Messi, but I mean by the team, by the club, overtakes the supporter. No one's bigger than the fans. And I think it's a good precedent to set. It's an important message to set, because again, we're not blaming Messi or any of our big players who have performed so well. If he's hurt, but it's the fact that the way the club has handled it, the clear commercialization of everything and having to put the fans through the ringer isn't being taken lightly. What are your thoughts on kind of all of it?
Yeah. So I don't know how or if it will in any way affect pricing for any season tickets, especially outside of the supporter section. I don't really see that happening. They're not going to go in and change stuff for anybody else. But what I do think is, I don't know, and there hasn't been much information on this. I don't know how much ticket prices changed for the actual supporters section themselves, because as we know, the supporters sections, especially the biggest groups, have a lot of power in soccer when it comes to the clubs, because the clubs depend on the supporter section to be the loudest, to bring that atmosphere, to hypen up the game, and to always be behind the team. They're the ones that are the most loyal. Sometimes when, especially before Messi arrived, when you had a few hundred people in the stands, they were always showing up. It didn't matter who played, who Inter Miami played against. It didn't matter who's on the team. It will never matter who's on the team for the supporters section. So I think that's one of the reasons why the supporter sections have so much power, and Inter Miami knows this. So they're going to respect what supporter section says, and if the supporter section wants to have a meeting, they're going to give them that meeting. They've given meetings to the supporter section in the past numerous times. They have a really good working relationship. So I don't know how much. Again, I don't know also the validity of the reports. So the reports do exist. I don't know the validity of them yet, but I think that if that's the case, something must be going on there. We know that usually clubs have an allotment of tickets for these supporters groups at a discounted price. That's typically how it works across all soccer. So again, I don't know with this change in season tickets, I assume there must have been some change for the allotment in tickets for the supporters section, where possibly the supporters groups were saying, yeah, that's too much. You can't do that to us. We're here every game, rain or shine, don't matter who plays. We're not selling our tickets. We're not the guys that are going to be on the resale market giving it up. We're going to be here supporting 100%. So maybe that's a factor that maybe played into it. The other thing is also that we have to remember the supporters group is also not just one group. There are a lot of there are a few different groups within there. You've got Vice City, which is the largest one there. You've got Southern Legion. I think you've got Nación Rosa y Negra. You've got a few different ones. So I also wonder, with those reports, is it one of the groups that said that? Is it a couple of groups that got together? That's something that I would be interested to find out, because I think a lot of these groups are separate. So it would take a lot.
I don't know.
It would take a lot for them to get together and to have everybody buy into, hey, we're not going to give our 100%. Like these guys give 100% no matter what. So again, there are these reports out there. It'd be interesting to see tomorrow how much
the environment's like.
Yeah, what the environment's like, and how much of those reports are, I don't know if true, or maybe how much still holds to what is being reported tomorrow. So that'll definitely be something interesting. But I don't in any way expect there to be nothing at all going on there. There are diehard fans that it doesn't matter what's happening, they're going to show up. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it will be interesting because it's a really, really important time for the club right now. This juncture is really, really important because no player is bigger than the club and bigger than the supporters. And this is, again, at least for me personally, I don't blame Messi at all for anything that's transpired over the last few weeks. If he's been injured, he's injured, and it's not his job as a player to tell people or what, and he's obviously not the one choosing the ticket prices for next year. Like, there's only so many things that are in his control, right? When he can play, his availability, and performing when he's on the field. And every single minute he's been on the field so far for Inter Miami, he has given 100% and performed at still the highest level. The issue is, of course, with the club's handling of everything, and just, the worries about the commercialization, and just, the fact that the prices, we've seen all the comparisons, that the cheapest ticket for the supporter section or whatever for season tickets for next season is more than 85% of the Premier League club season ticket prices or something like that.
It's
which
a communication.
It's unsustainable, and the Messi won't be here forever. Like, he's not going to be here forever. He's going to hopefully be here for at least 2 more years, hopefully, but he's not going to be here forever. And Inter Miami, if they want to continue and give the fans what they deserve, they're building this brand new beautiful stadium. They have a South Florida diverse, vibrant community who are ready to support this team continuously. they need to make the right decisions. And so, again, we don't know the validity of everything with these reports. I'm sure more information will come out. I will be at the game tomorrow, so I'll let everybody know kind of how the environment goes. But
Actually,
just something interesting.
I think that the biggest issue that people are having with is the communication, because, to your point, I don't think anybody's really angry at Messi. If he doesn't feel like he can play, then that's something you have to respect. And if he doesn't feel like he can play, then I want to make sure he doesn't play, because as a fan and other fans want to make sure that this is a 2.5-year deal here that we're going to be with him. We don't want to rush him if he can't. And if there's anybody that wants to play more, than it's going to be Messi. He wants to play every single game if he can. So I don't think many people have an issue with that. I think what people have an issue with is they don't really believe. I think that they think that Inter Miami knows or knew that Messi wasn't going to play for a certain amount of games. And they feel like they were being lied to. And instead of being told, hey, from day one or maybe a couple of weeks in, hey, this is what Messi has. He's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks or 4 to 5 weeks. And then that way, there are fans that doesn't matter if he plays or not, are going to show up. But we have to understand, this is MLS. And in the United States, this isn't European soccer that has been around for 100 years, where there are diehard fans that are just, it doesn't matter who plays. This is a show, the greatest show on earth. You've got people aside from
you're trying to build
fans,
trust. You're trying to get new fans.
Yeah, and there's fans that are coming in because of Messi, which was from the beginning the goal, was to bring in new people into MLS. And they think that they're being lied to so that they can continue to buy tickets, thinking that Messi's going to be there, when they believe that now, as this has unfolded, that it seems like Inter Miami, according to them, knew from the beginning he wasn't going to play until tomorrow. But they didn't say anything so that people will continue to buy tickets. I think that that's what some people believe and what bothers them the most. And you take into consideration what just happened the last game against Chicago, where they released a report that showed Messi as questionable, but
after
he didn't even travel. So when you start to put the pieces together, it shows something kind of ugly that I don't want to accuse anybody or say anything, but it actually, in this business, it's optics. Like, you're somebody that dabbles in marketing. I've dabbled in marketing or do marketing. Like, it's all about optics. And the optics look 100%. Kind of bad.
They look terrible. They're terribly.
Yeah. So I think that that's kind of the issue that a lot of fans have had with as far as being frustrated or angry with the club is, these aren't $20 tickets. These aren't $50 tickets. You've got people that are investing money that maybe shouldn't even be investing that money, that maybe don't have enough for other things, and are taking away to put $300-$400 on a ticket to take their kid to a game, where they're being given this false hope in their eyes and thinking, nah, you guys knew from the beginning he wasn't going to play, and just so I can buy these tickets. So, not to go off anymore on intent, but I think that's what it is. But I don't think anybody's mad at Messi, to be to your point.
Yeah, and it's because there's a lot of different factors, like mitigating factors that matter, and so people will say, you can't expect Messi to play every single game. If you go and you spend all this money and he's not there, then that's you're a risk you took. In normal situations, yes, but that's when you're honest about an injury, right? Like that sometimes happens. But here's a couple different things. Number one, they needed to be honest about the timeline. And for the people who bought the tickets for Soldier Field in advance, 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago or whenever Messi signed, and the scalpers who did it, if they found out 3 or 4 weeks ago, then sucks for you. You took a risk and it didn't pay off. But at least you knew. And for the scalpers who bought it and then they lose money, I feel 0% of remorse, right? Like that's part of the game. It happens. But for your regular fans, with MLS and with everything, what they're doing and how much money they're giving Leo and what they're trying to build, you can say it's not all about him. There's other professionals. You should still come. Maybe true. but maybe they need to see him in the first game that they pay for, that they go to, or that they're making a whole thing. Then you want to have them keep coming. And so
Yeah.
just the handling of it. I mean, you had David Beckham, you had Zlatan, and a couple other big names who have come over the years, and it just seems as if they've never had. And obviously, no one. Beckham was close, but obviously, no one is as good as Messi, and at this current time, or have as much of a global brand. But Beckham was close, and so especially if you've seen his documentary this week, like he was everything in the world, and the fact that MLS is looking like and especially Inter Miami, but MLS overall looking like a bunch of amateurs, not knowing how to handle this and not thinking 5 minutes ahead of understanding what they need to get. Because in America, you're right, it's not all about the love of the sport or the passion or the things that, the hundreds of years of tradition. That's not how, that's baseball, that's football in America. That's not soccer. And if you're trying to, get people to start attending all of these games and get their support and get them to get the Apple, season pass and to become passionate about it, you can't lie to them. And over since September 21st, since the initial injury with Argentina, and again, it's not Messi's job, but for everyone around, from the club to the league, they have lied continuously about it to everybody, and no one's going to trust it next year, especially when you have Copa America happening, where everyone and their mother knows that Argentina is the priority for Messi. People are going to not want to buy games because they're going to be like, nah, I don't know if he's going to show up. And now Inter Miami's tripling, quadrupling prices, not worth it. Whatever, I'll see him on TV. In like a month and a half, you took, which we saw over the summer, which was this amazing jump to the season. And obviously it helps because he played every game and, he was winning. But you saw the excitement, the spreading of the media, people now being interested in other games because the other game results affected Inter Miami's playoff spots. You started to see people being interested in the other stars. You saw players from Dallas, from Nashville, from FC Cincinnati gain all of these followers after playing Inter Miami or, being an important match around Inter Miami. All of these things you're losing, or you're getting people to be very skeptical of it. And to have your own fans already be so upset because of the clear trying to take advantage of the situation, it's really poor to see. And, I want to reiterate, we have a lot of Messi fans. We're not blaming Messi. It's not his job. He's there to play, and he plays amazing. And if he's injured and if he's unavailable and, he's older and they need to manage it, that is 100% okay. If the fact that maybe it just worked out that by now and, going into Argentina, it's just how it worked out, that it's how he got healthy, no one would be mad. But it's just how everything has been communicated and hidden. That's been a problem for some people. But we'll move on because we've talked about it a lot. But I think it's important for us to kind of make those points as huge Inter Miami fans, obviously huge Messi fans, but huge Inter Miami fans who have been here before and who will probably continue to be here after Messi, to understand what the league and what the team needs to do to be able to really maximize this moment and continue growing the club and the community. But so enough about that. Let's go ahead and move into the game tomorrow, our preview versus FC Cincinnati, who are number one in the Eastern Conference, who won the Supporter Shield, Community Shield, Supporter Shield.
Yep, the Supporter Shield.
And who are a great red-hot team who would be difficult to play in any circumstances, but certainly now where we need to win out 100% in order to be able to potentially make the playoffs, and also just to give the fans a good, solid performance. Tough team to play against in those circumstances.
Yeah, they're a very tough team. I mean, playing them during any moment would be difficult, and I think even more so now, where you're going into this game with so much pressure because you have to win your last 3 games. You've got to depend on others, so you're going to be score watching as well. You have been struggling as a team. Miami has been struggling as of late. They've struggled scoring, struggled winning. They've struggled, I think, putting together a good game without Messi, with there were a couple of games there that we kind of saw some bright spots, like against Orlando, against Toronto. But other than that, I think we've seen this team on opposite side of the spectrum. We saw, again, some good signs, and then just a team that you have no faith in, unfortunately, when Messi's not around. So I think it's tough. It's tough. And we're going to see how resilient this team is going up against Cincinnati. If they can lift themselves up, compose themselves, and kind of say, screw everything else that's happened. Like, who cares that we lost last game? Who cares? We're going to play. Like, we're just going to look at what's happening today. And I think that's also in the playoff races, again, it could be daunting knowing that you've got to win the next 3. It's kind of just focus on what's going on right now. Just focus on Cincinnati. Don't focus on anything else. Take one game at a time. If Messi comes into play or plays this game, I think it's a huge morale booster. Then obviously makes the team better all around. It brings confidence, but it's just a morale booster to have your captain, your number one guy on the field with you. It doesn't seem like Alba is going to be available. It doesn't seem like Campana is going to be available, but really a tough, but I think if a tough task, but I think that if they pull it together, they have enough to win. And Cincinnati is just coming off a loss against the New York Red Bulls. They lost 2-1. And then prior to that game, they beat Toronto 3-2. But in both instances, Toronto was able to score 2 goals. New York Red Bulls was able to score 2 goals on them. I'm hoping that Miami sees that and says, hey, we should be comparable to those teams, especially with Messi on the field, that we should be able to score, and that shouldn't be an issue for us. And then we're looking at a team that plays, or has played in New York, has played a 5-3-2 formation. So I think that they need to make sure they find a way to be creative, whether for Miami, especially knowing that they might have to deal with a back line of 5 against Cincinnati. They're going to have to find ways to be good on offense. They're going to have to not just focus on one thing, because they're going to get shut down. If they just focus on driving the ball right up the middle of the field, they're going to get shut down every time. They need to be able to give this New York team different looks, especially with so many on defense. They're going to have to.
Cincinnati.
Sorry, yeah. What did I say?
New York.
New York,
yeah.
Sorry, Cincinnati. Thank you. So they're going to have to give this Cincinnati team different looks, whether it's at sometimes trying to drive it up the middle of the field, sometimes opening up the wings with, again, we'll talk about who plays, but just based on who's played in the past, opening up the wings with maybe Farias or Noah, opening up on the right side with either Taylor or Yedlin. And then I think what's going to be important too is trying to drive plays from the back line. And hopefully we've seen Miller in the past and Aviles in the past be able to place good filtered balls behind the defense into a running Farias or in this case maybe Joseph or Campana. So I think that it's going to be important also to have that the defense at some points with Aviles and Miller to try to put in some balls from the back line and just kind of keep a good mix. And I think that that's one of the things that Inter Miami has kind of lacked these last few games, is just the creativity. And you can kind of understand it, again, because Messi's the motor, right? And Messi's the motor. No Alba. Busquets, if we pay attention to what teams have been doing to Busquets lately, they've been shadowing him a lot, making sure, especially knowing if they don't have Messi on the field, the guy that's going to distribute the ball is going to be Busquets. It doesn't get easier for opposing defenses to make sure if we lock this guy down, we lock the gate. We basically gatekeep the midfield, and it's going to make it so much more difficult for Miami to build. So kind of finding a way to make sure also that Busquets frees himself up, and then some players elevating their game. Like, we know some of these players, what they're capable of. We've seen what Kademaski can do. We've seen what Farias can do. And those players, I think, as of late, and again, it has something to do with Messi not being on the field, because he takes a lot of eyes off of you and allows you to have a lot more space. But I think that they have to step up their game. Kademaski and Farias, if they play. We mentioned this in the last post game. Tata has mentioned many times that Farias, in his eyes, is the one player on Inter Miami that is most similar to Messi and has the similar skill set to Messi, where he is a power on offense. He can create. And there have been times where he's just lacked in that area. So I think that as long as he can step that up, I think that we can find a way to win. And the biggest key again is going to be Messi being creative on the offense and some players stepping up. And then as far as defense, I don't know if you agree with me, Ashley, but I think the defense has done a good job as far as defending when they're in a good place. The issue has been when they turn the ball over. That has been the biggest deal. So I think make sure the defense takes care of the ball and figure out a way to make sure your fullbacks do a better job of getting back. And you've mentioned that in the past too. I know. So I know you agree with that, is making sure that, like, if you're going to have both full, I don't know if maybe you can balance it out and have one fullback not push as high up when another one is, like, take turns. Yedlin goes up, Noah stay back a bit, but a lot of times we turn the ball over, fullbacks don't get back, and it's just, the opposing offense puts numbers on the counter and they just kill us. So I think it's a manageable game. There's a chance, but very tough.
Yeah, I agree with all of your analysis. I tell you what, though, I don't think they can't not do a back five for the rest of the season, just because they've shown time and time again that our fullbacks can be responsible for tracking back and balancing the defense in transition. And if we want to play forward, we can't do it. So if Messi starts, I can maybe see the 4-3-3 stick, but if he doesn't, I expect to see a 5-3-2 lineup. Yeah. And I agree with all of your things. We need everyone to step up. There's still 9 points we can get. Two of 6 of those 9 are going to be against a team that is directly above us, and there's potential. I mean, we can see how other results. DC has been struggling. New York City FC have been pretty good, but they've been very rocky all season. So there's definitely, and Chicago too. Chicago obviously had that big win on Wednesday, but they've had a very rocky season. So there's definitely potential. I think most importantly, though, is we expect to see effort and just a better overall performance from every individual for these next 3 games, because you have to also remember, for some of these individual players, they need to fight to secure their place on the team for next year.
Yep.
And the performances recently have not been doing that. And I think that with only 3 games left, excluding playoffs, you need to show that you're worth being kept on this roster with some of these guaranteed. I mean, we already have guaranteed 8 spots that we know are going to be, right. We have our 3 DPs, our 3 young DPs, Kamal Miller and Drake Callender. Those are 8 guaranteed, 100% going to be there next year. A couple others are guaranteed. I can't think of their contracts off, the bat, but maybe they could be traded. I don't know. But outside of those 8, there's another, 10 to 11 spots that it's not guaranteed for anybody. And you need to show your worth and be able to produce with or without Messi. And what we've seen is that Campana, that's another one that's obviously guaranteed. But so outside of that, we got to see some people really want to step up and show that their quality. Like we've said time and time again, you don't have to win every game, but you need to show your worth and your effort, and that's what's been missing. So with that being said, starting lineups, who do we think is going to play? And again, we really are unsure about Messi. This is the last few games we've all felt very confident that obviously he's not going to be starting. Except for the U.S. Open Cup final. I think that definitely took us all by surprise. But besides that, we all feel very comfortable he's not starting. I really don't know tomorrow. We don't know. He's someone who he doesn't love coming off the bench. I think it doesn't go with his kind of flow and his game, his preparation for his body, for his mind, all of those things. If he has to, he will. But, especially if he's going to be starting and playing for Argentina in a couple of days, he may be wanting to do, business as usual. So I'm going to give the lineup, assuming he is not going to start. But again, we all know it's subject to change. So I think it's going to be a back 5. It's going to be, so this is already a part where I'm already in contention with myself, because I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I think it's going to be, I think I could see it working 2 ways, but I'll just give what I think traditionally. It's going to be Noah Allen on the left, DeAndre Yedlin on the right, and our three big guys in the middle, where that would be Christoph, Kamal Miller, and Tomas Aviles. I can see a situation where one of those three center backs is rested or doesn't play, is dropped, and you have Robert Taylor be that left back, and you have Noah Allen be the third center back.
Yeah.
I can see that being a possibility. I'm going to say for this scenario, it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Our midfield three, it's going to be Arroyo and Busquets for sure. Again, I'm also another one where I think it's going to still be Kramaschke, even though I think Ruiz does deserve to be playing. But I don't think, especially if it's this setup, I don't think he's going to be favored over Kramaschke, especially since we know next week he was called up for international duty with a plethora of other players, and Kramaschke is going to have to play next week. So it's one of those things where you want to keep him in form and in game. And then up front, it's going to be obviously Joseph Martinez and Facundo Farias. If Messi starts, I could see it being that exact lineup, but instead of Joseph, it's Messi. I could see that being a possibility if it's not the 4-3-3. So I know I gave a lot of what ifs because there's so many. There's so many questions.
Do the 4-3-3 again.
Kind of my vibe.
Do the 4-3-3. If it's the 4-3-3, who do you see in defense?
If it's a 4-3-3, it's going to be Kamal and Aviles. And then
I agree. And then midfield,
because I think next year, if you're thinking about the future, which Tata has obviously, he has to start thinking about it even now. While I don't necessarily think they have to get rid of Christoph, he's not their starter next year. It's Aviles and Kamal Miller, 100%. So that's the priority partnership to develop.
Yeah, I agree. And then midfield, you said even in the 4-3-3, it basically stays the same. You're talking about Arroyo, Busquets, and probably Kremaski, right? And then up front, who are your top three? Farias, Messi, and who in the middle? Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So it's
not playing.
Yeah.
And to be fair to Joseph, I think he did, especially for the two missed goals, he did everything he was supposed to do as a number 9 in that game. He really did. He tracked back a lot, and he set up a lot of good passes for teammates. He shot a great penalty, but the other teammates didn't do their end of the bargain, and we don't know if that's something that's completely consistent, but Joseph didn't do anything Wednesday that would make me say, oh God, no, please don't start him.
I agree. He held his own. I think he did the most with what he was given because he didn't have a lot of opportunities. The team didn't really do a good job of getting him involved. So I think that what he did with what he was given was amazing to set up those two opportunities for a goal that should have been goals. I mean,
almost sitters, really.
Yeah, there was no excuse to miss those, which I think would have changed the game entirely. They would have set a different 100%. Tone for the game, and I think that those two missed shots, unfortunately, really damaged the team. Yeah,
huge heights and huge lows. Before Messi came, we couldn't buy a win or the ball to go our way. Then Messi comes and everything seemingly went our way. And then with the game against New York City FC, how different is our conversation right now? If Ruiz's goal goes in, we get those 3 points. If on Wednesday one of those 2 goals goes in, we either draw or get the win. It's a completely different conversation we're having right now, but the tide turned back on us, and that's part of football, that's part of soccer. And so it's just going to be a matter of, like you said, the team showing their worth.
Okay. So Ashley, before we go into what our scores are going to be, or our score predictions, I just want to give a shout out to our friends over at Simplify. So Simplify is a professional IT company providing solutions for small to medium-sized businesses in West Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade counties. So what do? They cover everything from your servers to your network infrastructure to your workstations, mobile devices, and vendor relations with total end-to-end solutions for all your technology and business needs. So those are our friends over at Simplify. They have really good IT solutions for businesses. So make sure you reach out to them at 1-888-294-2083. Again, that's Simplify at 1-888-294-2083. So we just want to thank, again, our friends at Simplify. So Ashley, you've had some successes.
Not recently. I've been
Not
cold.
recently,
But
but
to be fair, I don't think anyone could have predicted what's been happening over the
no,
last
no, no,
2 or
no.
3 weeks.
It's been tough for sure.
Yeah.
But
Um,
if you want to, I'll give my prediction, and then that way you can close us out with your little magic 8-ball prediction that we hope will be
Yeah.
right
Before
this
you
time.
do though,
Again.
do you agree with the lineup, or did you have any other players you?
Oh, no. I agreed 100%. That's why I didn't really get too into it, because I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that at this point in time, we kind of have the regulars, the guys that you can
Yeah.
kind of count on, and the ones that you named are those guys that you count on. The only one I can see in either lineup, maybe being iffy, would be Kremaski. That would be the only one.
Yeah.
I think that it could
Right.
be Ruiz, it could be Mota. There's a few
Yeah.
different.
Oh, I forgot. I would love to see Mota play. I'd
Yeah,
love
or
to,
even
but yeah.
look, even Stefanelli. Stefanelli is available as well. So that's the only one that I would say is probably
Yeah.
interchangeable. So we'll see with that. But other than that, I think you were spot on. That's exactly what I was going to say. So man, this is a tough one, because it also is very dependent. If I'm not even I'm going to have full 100% faith in this team, even though I know I had a meltdown on previous post game. But
that's what being a fan is. That's why
Yeah.
we're fans.
Yeah, no, 100%, and that's what we try to do in this podcast is blend the analysis with the entertainment that being a fan brings to this.
That's why we watch sports, right? That's why we watch
100%.
sports. If it was easy and if it was something we all knew what was going to happen, it wouldn't be very fun.
100%. All right, so I'm going to go Messi or no Messi. I'm going to say we win this game because it is a must win. In my opinion, we want to make it to the playoffs. It's going to be at home, and I think that the crowd's going to be behind us. I think that it's going to be a very tight game, and I think we come out 2-1. Very tight game. Maybe it starts 1-1, and then maybe in the last 20 minutes we score that last one that takes it home for us. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a little bit more open, because I just think in terms of our shape and our discipline and our exhaustion, both mentally and physically, we're not at the point where we can, I think, keep those 1-0, 2-1, 1-1 results anymore, whether it's for or against us. I just don't. So I'm gonna back my team, and I'm gonna say we're gonna win 3-1 and have a great showing.
3-1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
And that's like 60 or 70% fan, 30%.
Yeah, that's like 90-10.
yeah, like sports analyst there. But
Yeah,
I like it.
This isn't my analyst take, but it's I do think it will be 1-1 at some point in the game, but hopefully in the second half, if Messi comes off the bench, even we pull away. So that's my hope. This has been a great show. Thank you as always, Gian. Like I said earlier in the episode, I will be at Drive Pink Stadium. I will be at the game tomorrow night. I know a lot of our fans and viewers are global, but if you're there and you see me, come say hi. I'd love to meet you guys and learn more about what you don't like about the show, what you want to hear more about. And, we're starting to plan next year and what the season's going to look like, and our coverage, our events, all of that fun stuff. So yeah, I will be there. I'm excited because I love going to the games and I love watching our team come hell or high water. So that is it for another episode of Messi & Co. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Messi & Co. to keep up with all of our latest news, episode updates, feedback on everything that we're working on. Listen to our podcast on all podcast platforms. That's Apple, Spotify, all of the different platforms. Just search Messi and you will see our logo from the top right, available to listen to all of our episodes. We will have a live post game tomorrow. Not exactly sure who's going to be on it yet, but we will have it. There will be different people giving our feedback. Hopefully it's a good result. Hopefully we'll have great things to continue to talk about. But thank you for listening and have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Are you ready to transform your space into a masterpiece? Introducing Mosaics, your destination for stones and more. Mosaics is a family-owned business serving the community for over 20 years. With the best quality porcelain, ceramic tiles, and high-end mosaics featuring unique modern designs, Mosaics has everything you need. dedicated customer service, wholesale distributors, and a passion for excellence. Make sure you visit mosaics.com today to turn your vision into a reality.